Howdy all my little hominoidians. Theo Hayez. Well, there we go. Now there's Liz Hayes. She's standing on the trail there, up there at Byron Bay, looking like where Theo walked there with the volunteers. And dead centre there is Gary Jubilant, the former New South Wales police detective, who is now a consultant for Channel 9, and he's going to work out what happened to Theo, but he doesn't come up there with any answers. Anyway, then he moves up the beach. Anyway, but this is what he says.
But he doesn't pause, he just keeps going.
Yeah, there's no pause in the data.
If you're following someone and you lost your cat, you might leave the cat.
So you don't lose the person who's leading the way.
The volunteers conducted their own line search of the bushland and incredibly found the cat lying here on the ground the very day after police called off their official search for Theo.
What was it like to come across something physical of Theo?
I think it was unbelievable.
Right, now let's just zoom that up a little bit further.
Towards what is known as Cozy Corner and Byron's famous lighthouse that sits atop.
Now let's just show you how remote Byron Bay Cozy Corner is.
Without hesitation, Theo makes his way up Tallow Beach towards what is known as Cozy Corner. And it was...
Now look at that for a shot. See all the waves there are coming in? And if you look just there, there's a rip. See that black line? Right about there, right on top of my finger? That's a rip. And it's the same thing that's right up there next to those rocks. And Gary Jubilant stood up there. He's a copper. But he doesn't know an ex-copper who got the sack for corruption. And we're going to come into that right now. So this is why, when you watch all these stories about missing people, it's what this whole episode's about, is that you got to look at the news reporter. Now, Liz Hayes is filthy rich. She gets a oceanographer, who's also the local surfie, who surfs right there at Byron Bay, to come on, who's not dressed very well, because he probably got a mortgage, not like her, and Gary Jubilant, a former disgraced policeman. Right? He got the sack. And today, his victim, who he tried to illegally record, has just been awarded $1.5 million. But we'll move on to that in a moment. So let's have a look a little bit more.
You don't see this little offshoot here, do you?
No.
To be able to see the place, we visit in daylight. It's a known spot for beach parties, which Gary believes could have been how Theo was lured here.
This clearing area, as I understand, is an area where people gather, have parties, and as you can see, it's a perfect area.
But then, the GPS data tells us Theo went further, up into the bush, where he remained for 5 minutes.
He's gone up that incline there, which is rather steep, and you can imagine being here at night.
Now they just said 5 minutes. But on my last video, you go back and look at the time code, it works out about 3 minutes and 45 seconds, which is about what time it would take for a young guy to walk up that very embankment and to go vertically up that little rise.
Up into the bush where he remained.
Right up there. So that's where he walked. He walked up that sandy trail there. Right, now if anybody's ever walked up a sandy beach, well, you take 3 steps forward and you only go 2, you lose traction. And then of course he goes up there to urinate or go and have a poop. And then he comes back down again because he's only up there for 3 minutes and 45 seconds. They're saying 5 minutes. That's not the facts. Because on my previous video, I actually show all the time codes. But anyway, let's move on. This is why you don't believe the media and you don't believe former disgraced detectives who really, if he had any brain in his head, why didn't he say, oh, why would Theo go up there? Why wouldn't you ask the question? Oh, he reckons he went up there trying to find a way out. No, Theo was going to be an engineer. He's not stupid. He would have known quite well there's a headland up there. And even when I walked up there, you can quite clearly see there's that mountain range up the top there in the background. So you know there's no way out because everybody, that's why they duck into these little cul-de-sacs. Oh, let's call them a cul-de-sac type of thing off the edge of the beach, just over the sand dunes. We all got them in every country. Doesn't matter what part of the world, we're human beings. We all do the same thing. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a little bit more.
The headland, where he switches off his GPS data, possibly to save phone battery. He then replies to old messages from family and friends. It's clear he's not distressed. There's no indication of being lost or scared. No cry for help. He even starts to watch a favourite Belgian comedy show on YouTube.
We have the last words of Theo Hayez. The red is Theo.
Yeah.
At Cozy Corner.
12:20.
This is what he's
12:55.
saying at this point.
What it jumps out to me, it's almost like he's filling in some time. He's responding to old messages. He had a look on YouTube. He's got time to kill.
At 1:02 a.m, Theo was calmly sending what would be his final text message via WhatsApp to fellow backpacker and friend Loic Spice. Loic recalls their conversation as a relaxed chat about the surf in Byron Bay. What does it tell you about his state of mind when
he wasn't in any kind of distress? He wasn't in any kind of weird situation. From what I can see in the text, I think there was nothing weird about the text. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary in my opinion.
Examine the conditions and the currents on the night Theo disappeared.
If he's fallen off the headland, do you believe he's landed in the water?
Well, it's hard to see how he would have landed in the water, given that the headland's not particularly steep, but I can just say that if he did land in the water, there is a high probability that he did get swept out.
Now, as I previously said, if you fell off that rock face down there, your body's going to sit there. You're not going to roll up over a rock and fall down over there in the water. Now, let's just have a look right there. Let's see what we just caught. Can you see what I can see? Can you see the outgoing rip? See, the waves are sitting long ways. They're going that way. And yet the waves coming in are that way. And these waves are this way. Can you see the difference? That is a rip. See, there's the waves over there coming in east to west. There's the waves there going south to north because the water there is pulling them sideways as the water goes out. And that's exactly where Theo went out, in my opinion. Now, if this policeman was so smart, why did he do corruption? And why didn't he turn around and stand there and say to Liz Hayes, he's there that day, right? We just seen him standing up there on the sand. Why didn't he come down and see the same thing there now what you're looking at? Look, see? There's a wave there coming in above my finger, and there's a wave there going sideways. See the difference? I'll play it. Watch.
Yeah.
Where?
Play it back. You watch the waves. They go sideways.
No sightings and no body. Police declared their search over, convinced Theo had fallen off the headland and was swept out to sea. Dr. Colette Carey, a physical oceanographer, expert in drift analysis, agreed to examine the conditions and the currents on the night
Did you just see it?
Theo disappeared.
If he's fallen off the headland, do you believe he's landed in the water?
Well, it's hard to see how he would have landed in the water, given that.
Now, they made their video up there 1 month ago. And now, let's see if we can find my video when I said about the water. And that was 9 months ago. So I reckon they've watched my video. Now, there's my big butt. Here it is. And there's the waves over there in the background. See so there's the rip. There's the rocks. There's the rip. Now this is my own video. And I've already gone on about this before. Well, let's, just play it again. Just watch. Theo walks in right here. That is on the 60 Minutes chart. Can you see how the waves there are going sideways? And the waves over there top of my head are coming in the other way. Just while this video is reloading. Walks out to here. This big current comes around the corner. Right? Now, this water is coming from here. It hits the rock and it goes out. Look, it hits the rock. You can see it. It's like a garden hose. It's coming that way. It hits the rock. Then it goes around. Right. Now that was 5 months ago, me watching my own video. Replaying it again. This is what I mean. If this detective was so smart, why couldn't he see that right there? Look, see there's no white wave right there above my back? But look, over there's white waves. Can you see them? Are you now getting it? To these people, not everybody who listens to this is dumb and stupid. I've got several people that won't get it in their heads. Right, so basically what it is, water's got to come in. It comes in, hits the sand, it's got to go somewhere to get back out. So what it does, it turns to the right, it comes up here past the rock there that I'm standing on, it hits those rocks there with a point to the east, and then goes out, back out, and that's why there's no incoming waves there, because the current's going out, and over there, on the far right of the picture screen, TV picture, the waves are coming in, right? You can't fill up a bucket and keep filling it up without something coming out the other end, can you? Right, very simply. Now, let's see, that's how smart this policeman was. He couldn't even see that, and yet he stood there, right there where I was, and he couldn't work it out. Now, let me show you how he got done for being corrupt.
Was shredded after being named a suspect in the William Tyrrell investigation and accused of being a pedophile. Now, Bill Spedding has been awarded $1.5 million in damages after suing police for malicious prosecution.
Gary Jubilant.
He's a 70-year-old grandfather, but for Bill Spedding, the most crushing moment of his life was when he was accused of being a pedophile.
No sum of money will restore the life I enjoyed before this terrible nightmare.
A nightmare that began when William Tyrrell disappeared in 2014. With no real leads, detectives, led by Gary Jubilant, wrongfully focused on the washing machine repairman.
Do you know where William Tyrrell is right now?
No?
Spedding received death threats and was left with crippling anxiety. The experience left him distressed, confused, wrongly imprisoned, and separated from his family. Spedding had to stay away from his grandkids after police charged him with historical child abuse offences, which were found to be falsified. He spent 30 days in protective custody and was acquitted.
This type of conduct engaged in by the prosecuting authorities must be deterred.
It's hoped the judge awarding him $1.5 million plus costs will do just that.
Bad police work can lead to bad results, and also probably explains why William's still missing.
This case could have been settled before it went to court, but for Bill Spedding, it wasn't about the money. He wanted everyone to know what he was subjected to and for the truth to come out.
I hope that the incorrect focus upon me as a suspect has not irreparably damaged the prospect of solving this mystery.
Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
Okay, the criminal charges brought maliciously against me by police destroyed me and publicly portrayed me as a pedophile. My reputation was severely and permanently damaged. My family life was torn apart. Our grandkids...
This was by Gary Jubilant, the same detective who was up there with Lisa Hayes Liz Hayes looking at the Theo Hayez. See, this is what that copper did. This is why he's now working for Channel 9 on 60 Minutes. This is what got him the sack. That's what this video is all about.
These were taken from us, and their lives also have changed forever. No sum of money will restore the life I enjoyed before this terrible nightmare. I brought this case to show that police decisions to prosecute must not be taken lightly, and more importantly, must not be taken to achieve some ulterior purpose. I was prosecuted for crimes I did not commit, all in the hope that my prosecution would further the police investigation of me as a suspect in the disappearance of William Tyrrell. This type of conduct engaged in by the prosecuting authorities must be deterred, and I hope that Justice Harrison's decision today helps to achieve this purpose. I hope that the
So Gary Jubelin has now ruined this guy's life forever. Right? This is what the Gary Jubelin who went up there with Liz Hayes. So my point, what I'm trying to get to say, is when you watch all these free-to-air TV channels, not like me sitting here waving my foot in front of the camera, relaxing and thinking clearly, he is a detective, a former detective, being paid by Channel 9 60 Minutes by a wealthy lady whose husband is a mogul in the television industry, and also the poor surfy lady, who's an oceanographer and also a local surfy, was very hesitant about what she said about what happened. Right? So she was quickly there. Now, let's see if we can just see a little famous picture of our Gary there. No, he's not.
surrounding William Tyrrell.
Let's have a little bit of a look here. Now, this is the Downing Centre Courthouse. You see it's got those lights up there, that brass work? That's the Downing Centre Courthouse down there in Sydney. Gary Jubelin, face to face with evil. Right? Channel 10. Former homicide detective Gary Jubelin discusses a new book. Oh. Hero cop found guilty of illegally recording William Tyrrell. That's what we're just talking about. That's the story. There he is there. Catch a Killer with Gary Jubelin. Old school gangster Graham Henry. Right, this is what Gary Jubelin's now doing. Because he no longer can be a cop, he's now doing YouTube. He's doing stories and interviews. Have a look at that, see? 60 Minutes Australia, again. True Crime, Australia. Gary Jubelin, 7 News. Hours of tapes released of recorded conversations between Gary Jubelin and the poor guy that's now just been awarded $1.5 million. Gary Jubelin does the Barrowville murders. Oh, hang on. That still haunt Detective Gary because he couldn't solve it. Hello, he couldn't even work out where poor old Theo went in the water. How do these detectives ever last so long? The Barrowville murders, the crimes that still haunt Detective Gary. Well, Gary, you maybe, Gary Jubelin takes us in evidence in the case of William Tyrrell. Oh, look at that. Gary Jubelin takes a stand with evidence in the case of William 6 months ago. Yeah. I Catch Killers with Gary Jubelin. Yeah. Russell Oxford interview. So there you go. He's gone there for the big guns. Gary Jubelin. Gary Jubelin. Just type in his name. Go have a look. That's how you spell it. There's poor William Tyrrell there. He's still missing. My theory is he's gone up into the bush. And that's where he's wandered off into. because they didn't go in the bush up there behind his house. I Catch Killers with Gary Jubilant. The Spanani interview. There you go. I Catch Killers with Gary Jubilant. Life as a bra boy. Why is Gary Jubilant doing all these interviews on YouTube and other TV channels? Because that's how he makes his money. See? Gary Jubilant, Gary Jubilant. Look, it just never stops. He's making himself a fortune by getting on and getting contracts to sit down and do... Look, see, True Crime Australia, 3 months ago. Disgraced cop, and they put him on. Oh, really? I would never ever sit down in the same room with a guy. Not after what he did to that poor 70-year-old man who's now 70, and this was 10 years ago. The poor guy was my age. Man, what a guy. How many stories has this Gary Jubilant done? I mean, really? It's just all Gary Jubilant. It just never stops. See? He's in there for the money. Anyway, that's it there from me, Mr. Hominoid. Hope you woke up. You're something there. Look at that. Retired homicide detective Ian Speedway Kennedy, part 1. Oh, with Gary Jubilant. I Catch Killers with Gary Jubilant. Look at that. Now he's running his own TV show. Oh, my God. See? And they take him on as a consultant. He's on there because he's making money. He's making money out of Theo's death. That's all it is. Vultures. Vulture. That's all they are. Vultures. Anyway, for me, Mr. Hominoid, keep your chin up. God rest your soul, Theo. God love you. And God bless his parents and cousins and his godfather. Anyway, leave us a nice comment or leave me a comment. Any comment you like. I read them all. Thank you.